Daniel Negreanu kicks things off with Queen-Jack offsuit. He is raised to $2,800, but is up against Tony G with Ace-King offsuit.
Action folds over to Tony G, who makes the call.
Two strong hands going into the flop.
Queen-6-Jack.
King of the world.
Check by Tony G.
Tony G's missed. Daniel's going to fire with top two.
Bets 5,500.
Tony G knows Negreanu would bet this flop even if he had nothing. But he decides not to go for a semi-bluff raise, and instead, he floats, letting Daniel tell his tale while he quietly waits for something on the turn.
Tony has two overcards, even though they're no good. He's really only looking for a 10 to make a gut shot.
There it is!
Tony G tries to keep a poker face as he just hit his straight. He knows Daniel Negreanu is the best of all time at reading people. This is a critical moment to let Daniel continue building the pot. He checks, letting Daniel think two-pair is the best hand here. Tony is in total control right now, patiently waiting for the right time to make his next raise get called.
Daniel bets 14 grand. A raise to 50,000 by Tony G.
A quick raise of 50,000. Tony's the kind of player that could be doing this with a worse two-pair. He could be doing it with a draw. He could be doing it with flat-out nothing, but a raise that big, that fast, usually means only one of two things, a monster hand or a monster bluff.
Daniel makes the call.
Tony using his hand to keep his mouth closed because it's probably watering right now.
The river gives Daniel a full house.
These two have been playing against each other at the highest level for 3 decades.
Tony checks.
Negreanu knows Tony has a straight, as you will see in his prediction at the end. He's not worried about being beaten here. He's just doing the math now. What's the number Tony G can't resist calling here?
Bet 80.
Negreanu makes it 80,000 to go. Snap call from Tony.
Negreanu shows him the bad news, hands him the keys of the city.
You had ace-king.
Yep. Well done, Daniel. Well done.
Played it good.
Nice dealer.
Sorry, Tony, you played it good.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down on Jack 9 suited. He opens to $3,000 on the button, a classic small ball steal that also invites dominated jacks and queens to continue. Doyle Brunson flat calls in the small blind with Queen-Jack suited, a smooth defend that keeps Negreanu's range wide and retains post-flop maneuverability.
Well, there's a lot of money out there, baby. A lot of money out there.
Go and get you some.
Troy Wiggins completes in the big blind with pocket fours for set value, and the stage is set. Brunson, holding top pair with a strong kicker, declines to bet into two players on a coordinated texture because checking keeps Negreanu's bluffs alive and avoids building a pot where he could be outkicked or check raised by club draws. The paired board reduces semi-bluffs, and Doyle seizes the lead for $8,000. From his seat, Negreanu's flop check capped him toward medium strength and draws, so Doyle's stab is designed to extract from worse jacks and to tax the clubs and queen-10 tight gutters. Negreanu calls rather than raise. The flat keeps the pot manageable against a range that still contains ace-jack or king-jack, keeps Doyle's bluffs and thin value hands firing, and leverages position to make the final decision with maximum information. This river is a sneaky upgrade for Negreanu to two-pair, while a large chunk of Doyle's range remains one pair of jacks. Doyle checks, signaling showdown mode rather than a polarized line. Negreanu now turns the knobs. His hand cleanly targets Queen-Jack and King-Jack, while very rarely running into a slow-played full house on this sequence.
Biggest hand I've had.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at King-Jack offsuit. Pre-flop begins with a straddle from Jennifer Tilly, which immediately incentivizes the aggressive players to attack the money. Tony G, never one to let a straddle go unpunished, raises to $2,500 with ace-6 offsuit. It is a standard isolation play, but he finds himself getting looked up by the rest of the table. Joe Hashem makes a loose call on the button with Queen-8 suited. Negreanu spots the pot odds and decides to defend from the blinds. Even Tilly comes along, creating a four-way pot where ranges are wide and the potential for a collision is high.
How about this, gentlemen?
And lady.
We'll do. He doesn't have to straddle. Everyone else will straddle from here on out.
Jen calls.
Sound good?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah? You want to do that?
Jennifer doesn't like it?
Flop, tray 9, queen.
I go with company rule.
Yeah.
If everyone wants to straddle, I'll straddle. But you understand, that makes it a bigger game. I am checking.
For sure.
Hashem, who has flopped top pair with his queen, fires a bet of $5,000. He is betting for value and protection. Tilly decides that her kicker is too weak to continue and folds. Negreanu holds king high and a gut shot straight draw. Most players fold here without a second thought. However, Negreanu executes a float. He calls the 5,000, relying entirely on his ability to outplay Hashim on later streets or hit a miracle card. The turn brings the 5 of hearts. This is a pivotal card.
Everyone's playing except one guy.
While it doesn't give Negreanu a made hand, it drastically improves his equity. Because he holds the Jack of Hearts, he has now picked up a flush draw to go along with his straight draw.
Don't let him get to you. You're playing good, Ken.
Sure.
Negreanu checks, and Hashim decides to fire a second barrel of 10,000. Hashim is telling a story that he has a flush or a strong queen and wants to charge the draws.
Good call. I didn't call the river yet. It's just a good call. Oh, in the turn it was a good call? Good call. I don't know, maybe.
I sense sarcasm.
River 10 of diamonds. Daniel hits his gutter ball.
Very good call on the turn.
Daniel checks.
Joe wise enough to check behind. Wow.
King Jack.
You have queen, right? I didn't see that.
Also got a queen.
Really?
Decent amount of outs. Heart, king, 10, jack. Well, not jack. Heart, king, 10.
Nice river.
Daniel wins.
Wow.
Hellmuth kicks things off with pocket deuce. This is a hand that only someone as wild as Phil Hellmuth can play when faced with a raise. Little does he know, his aggression will end up making him mad once again.
You were like drawing dead.
Right after making the call, Hellmuth plays one of his special cards. Complete shithousery. He directly calls out his opponent for drawing dead and bluffing him. Let's see if it will work out. Perkins completely unbothered by Hellmuth's antics calls with 8-4 suited. I guess these must be his lucky numbers, or else I don't see a reason why he would go three-way with these cards. The flop is here, and oh boy, does it deliver some drama. We have 5 with 2 jacks. Now it can be anyone's game. Let's see what Hellmuth will do here. With Perkins and Williams both showing weakness with their checks, Hellmuth will want to take control of the pot. To do that, he instantly fires a bet for $4,000. Perkins with his 8-4 suited didn't have to think too long about what to do next, and does what every one of us would do in this spot and folds. Williams, on the other hand, didn't think at all. He snap called the bet as if he is holding the nuts and is just waiting for Hellmuth to bloat the pot some more. The turn delivers a queen of clubs, which makes things even more interesting. Now Williams has an open-ended straight draw and is looking stronger than ever in this hand. Even though the turn improved his hand, Williams still decides to check in order to see how Hellmuth will play it out first. And that's exactly what Hellmuth was waiting for. After no more than a few seconds of thinking, he fires another 4,000 bet, trying to pressure Williams out of seeing the river. For better or for worse, Williams almost snap calls the bet, which means he either thinks Hellmuth has nothing or is just feeling super lucky.
Even a 5 or a queen can counterfeit Phil's hand.
The turn delivers a king, which completely shifts the game, and Williams is now in the lead. Make sure to watch until the end to see Hellmuth going crazy after the showdown.
King. Here it comes.
That's the ejector seat straight out of Goldfinger.
Williams.
Keating's looking down on ace-queen offsuit. Peter comes along with ace-7 suited, a hand that plays fine multi-way but is easily dominated by Keating's calling range. Stanley takes the button with Jack-10, a classic position hand that realizes equity well against 3 opponents. Keating flats pre-flop with ace-queen from the small blind instead of squeezing. Out of position and deep, that call invites dominated aces and worse queens to continue while avoiding a bloated pot against a raiser who can 4-bet. The flop favors ranges that arrived by calling. Keating's ace-queen makes second pair with the best kicker and holds the key blocker to Broadway. His call versus the c-bet is standard. Raising turns his hand into a bluff catcher against stronger kings and sets while isolating himself versus better. Peter's call with ace-7 is thin but defensible. He has bottom pair, an overcard, and backdoor hearts, and he wants to keep his range uncapped for later streets. Stanley's call with Jack-10 is mandatory. He has the best improvement potential with the open-ender and position. The turn ace changes the incentive structure completely. Keating now holds aces and queens, and, out of position in a multi-way pot, checking is superior. Betting announces strength, repels worse, and makes it easy for a better ace like ace-king to play perfectly against him. By checking, he allows weaker aces and floats to fire or show down worse. Peter quietly improves to 2-pair, and he should notice how clean his value targets are. Aces that didn't connect with the king or queen, plus stubborn kings that hate folding. But checking has logic too. He controls the pot and traffic and preserves bluffs for the river. Stanley's check is the costly one. With Jack 10, he owns the nuts on a paired board that still grants him clear value from top pairs and combo draws. Letting it check through surrenders value and protection, and it exposes him to exactly what happens next. The board pairs again, and his straight gets stone dead. The river double pairs the ace and reorders the hierarchy. Keating upgrades to aces full of queens, Peter lands on aces full of sevens, and Stanley is drawing thin to chatter.
And this is going to get very nasty for Peter. Maybe Stanley also, but especially Peter.
Checks from Keating and the original raiser are invitations. Peter accepts with a big bet that targets trip aces and missed draws and tries to dodge raises from the few better full houses. Stanley correctly folds once the ace pairs again, straights are dust. Keating's river decision should lean exploitative here. Against Peter, who routinely overplays strong one-pair and boat combos, a value raise prince. Keating's hand is under-repped, he blocks the most common equal boat with the queen. Peter's turn check makes ace-king less likely, and Texas Mike is capped after check-check.
Did he just call? He just called.
Phil Ivey is looking down on 8-6 offsuit. Vanessa makes it 25K with pocket sevens bread and butter early value that plays beautifully on low textures and keeps worse pairs and broadways defending. Artem overcalls, sweetening the price. Phil Ivey flats purposefully. 8-6 thrives deep and multi-way, makes nutted straights on boards early raisers hate, and carries just enough backdoor potential to pressure later streets. The flop falls low and connected. Artem checks and Phil fires 50K when checked to. Into two players and on a dynamic board, that stab credibly represents sets, two pair, and strong draws, while letting him realize his equity with the open-ender plus the 6 of clubs as a valuable blocker. Vanessa just calls with top set. Raising with narrow ranges to strong draws and made flushes later, calling keeps Phil's bluffs and semi-bluffs alive, invites Artem to continue, and disguises the real strength of her hand on a texture that can shift quickly. The turn is the 10 of clubs, completing the front door. Artem checks again and Phil barrels 150K. That card is a green light for continued pressure. If he's bluffing, the club gives him story and leverage. If he's value, he wants to tack sets and one-pair hands immediately. The 6 of clubs in his hand trims the strongest flush combos Vanessa can have. Vanessa's call is disciplined. She retains all her full house redraws, avoids isolating herself versus made flushes, and keeps Phil's entire range pointed at a river decision. The river is the 4 of hearts. No new club appears, but one of Phil's key rivers does. The straight gets there.
Phil Ivey, everybody. Best in the world. Cracks sevens with 8-6, the classic.
While we wait for Phil Ivey to make his decision, please click the like button. It helps out a lot, thank you. He chooses 400K, a polarizing bomb that plays perfectly against the range Vanessa has represented by calling twice. Overpairs without a club, sevens that didn't raise, and some cautious club hands. With the 6 of clubs blocker reducing nut flush combos and a coherent story from flop to river, this sizing forces exactly the kind of uncomfortable, high-stakes decision he's been building toward all hand.
She folds! She made that look so easy.
Not the turn I wanted to see.
3-7?
She's in with 6s.
Jennifer Tilley kicks things off with pocket 6s. This is a decent hand to entertain a small raise with and see if luck is on your side.
Back on Arden. She calls the 3-bet as well, so 3-way to the flop. Oh my word, set over set and Griffin's flop top pair?
This is going to be bad for Griffin, but it's going to be real bad for Arden.
With the board that the flop delivers, everyone has something to bet about. But instead of that, Tilley and Cho decide to check. With that in mind, our weak top pair is trying to take control of the board by shooting a small bet of $2,500. Tilley is loving it because other than a set of kings, nothing else on the board beats her, and she would love to see this pot growing, so naturally she calls. Miss Cho, on the other hand, has a completely different plan. She is not waiting for the pot to grow. She is growing it herself. She does that by firing a $9,400 bet. Now Benger has a choice. Entertain this top pair, or realize the truth and just give up.
Why is he so serious? He's like a goober 99% of the time.
The angry man quickly decides to fold and not pursue the king. On the other hand, Tilley is more than happy to oblige Miss Cho by re-raising to $30,000 with her set of 6s.
Oh boy.
Jen re-raises $30,000.
At this point, Miss Cho should know the deep trouble she finds herself in, but still decides to go ahead and call on her set of 5s. The turn delivers the 9 of clubs, a card that is completely irrelevant to both of them. If I was in the position of Tilly, I would be betting pot here. What would you? Let me know in the comments below. I guess Tilly is not so happy about my jamming suggestion, so she decides to check here and wait for something magical on river. Same thing for Miss Cho. In her case, though, that is in her favor.
And Arden spikes a 1-outer. She's got quads. Meanwhile, Jenna's rivered a full house.
Buckle up, because this hand just went from pretty sick to absolutely bonkers.
People say patience is a virtue, but in Tilly's case, her patience came to bite her from behind. The river delivers the only card that can save Miss Cho, and that is the 5 of clubs. Now the only question is, will Tilly get baited by her now full house hand? Or will she read her for the quads Miss Cho has? And as we all thought she should do, Miss Cho goes.
There it is.
This is not good.
No, it sure isn't.
If Jen calls, this will be the biggest pot of the game.
Arden, you have quads because it can't be quads.
Does she know?
I don't think you have kings full. And I don't think you have 9s full. You might have 5s full.
That's a call.